welcome to Earth Day stream with our friend James. Hi, James. How are you?
Hey, Andrew, what's going on, man? Love that energy right off the bat.
Yeah, it felt like we needed anytime I think of Earth Day, I just think of the scene in Independence Day where he punches the alien and he goes, "Welcome to Earth." And then I'm like,
Yeah.
Earth Day.
Yeah,
That's it, right?
Perfect. That's how I feel every day where I wake up. I just get up and I'm like, oh my God, welcome to Earth. You're
Yeah,
here
you
today.
just start punching aliens.
I just start punching aliens.
That's it. So welcome to the stream. Hello, hi. We are talking about Earth Day. And before we intro you and all that, can you tell us a little bit about Earth Day, why you're passionate about it, why we're doing this stream?
Oh, yeah. That's a hard question to answer, just boil down into one cohesive thought. But in essence, I have been passionate about being outside and exploring the outdoors since I was little. And professionally, my wife and I travel full time and we explore some of the most beautiful places in the world as content creators. And so I've had even a more profound appreciation for the beautiful places and landscapes around planet Earth that I've had the opportunity to travel. I've seen pristine places that need to be preserved and kept sacred. And so the leave no trace principles are something near and dear to my heart. You know, pack out what you brought in with you is something that we really try to instill on other people that are traveling. And yeah, I support just getting out in nature, exploring, and appreciating the beautiful planet that is Mother Earth. So I'm sure I'll have some sentimental stuff as we go, but that's the gist of it.
Yep. Same here. You go to a place and you see something. I feel like the more you travel, the more you appreciate. You're just like, let's keep this. Let's do more of this, please.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's hop in, talk about what we're working on today to celebrate Earth Day. And hello, everyone that's watching online. We've got Sam, Sean, we've got Anna in here, all kinds of good friends. Make sure you say hi and let us know why you love the Earth.
Yes.
Because we all love the Earth, right? It's pretty great.
We do. I just, in my head, I keep thinking of that like Lil Dicky song. We love the Earth. It is our. I should have used that song, but thought I'd go a little more cinematic. But that's like the song that's been playing in my head all week because I'm just fired up.
Very true. Yes. All right. So what programs are we in today? What are we doing today? What are we working on?
Cool. So before we actually hop into Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects, I just wanted to give everyone that is tuning in a quick intro to who I am as
let's
creator.
talk about you.
Yeah, just for like a sec, just so you guys know who you're dealing with over the next few hours. So my name is James, as Andrew mentioned. This is our website. My wife is here in the chat. Hi, babe. I think you're upstairs somewhere. So this is us in our van, of all things exploring the Earth. And so if you want to, get to know us a little bit more, any number of these links will do that. Some of our client work, our portfolio. We also have our YouTube channel, which has steadily been growing, and a lot of the videos that this specific video that we'll be creating today will be posted hopefully tomorrow for Earth Day. So make sure to check that out. So a lot of our content is here. And if you're on Behance watching this right now, you can head over, say hello. I don't know if you can actually say hello in Behance, but just show some appreciation for some of the work. This is sort of a smattering of some of my photography, my film photography work, and my videos. So you can find me sort of all over the interwebs.
That's awesome. Nothing makes content happen like talking about that content happening. So talking about posting this video today, that means we got to get it done.
Honestly, like doing these streams, and if I can push myself a little more, because to do something that's not a paid client gig is always, you have to have some motivation to do it. And so a stream like this is like, okay, I'm getting it done. I'm going to finish the edit probably after today and get it up tomorrow. So everyone on this stream is holding me to it.
Yes. You're all right. Chat, you're on it. You're our accountability partners.
Yes. And hello, Evan, Anna's brother, my brother-in-law, is also in the chat today. He always tunes in. So he's a fellow Earth lover. We really see eye to eye on all those things. All right. So there's a bunch of things that I sort of want to talk about today. For those that are brand new using Premiere, I'm going to try my best to throw some basics and just throw like simple organization and just the import process and all of the basics of learning Premiere. But for those that are a little bit more intermediate and advanced, we are going to be getting into some sound design, some titles, a little bit of masking and some like simple animations. And then we're also going to pop into After Effects and animate some titles specifically for this video.
Oh, we're going all over the place.
we are going to be all over the map today, no pun intended. And Andrew, just keep me in check if I'm rambling too much or just going way over time.
Absolutely. So, we'll send you a rambling jail if it happens. I don't think we'll go there, but I'll send you there for sure.
Perfect. So I think the way I want to start the stream, again, I've already cut a lot of this video. Most of it is done. So I want to show that as a way to just get us very inspired and amplified for Earth Day. The goal of this video obviously was for the stream, but really for me, it was to aggregate all of the footage that we have created over the last 5+ years, which is a lot. So I have backup drives where I have footage that's stored that I really love, from Iceland to Abu Dhabi to every state in the US, primarily the West Coast. There's footage from all over the place. And I really wanted to just show the beauty of the Earth on its own with these clips, and tell kind of like our planet David Attenborough sort of story in a 2-minute time frame.
Yes.
Which is what you'll watch. And I have big shoes to fill, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see
Welcome to Earth. It's full ASMR.
The whole video just turns into like, all right, welcome guys.
Yes. Welcome to the whispering stream.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to full screen this, play it back in real time so that everyone can see what I've done. And then we're going to sort of go back and reverse engineer what I've created.
All right, let's get excited about the Earth.
Let's get excited about the Earth. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Earth.
The Earth is a fine place and worth fighting for.
Sometimes I truly wonder how I was blessed to be put on this earth. To have the good fortune to hear the ocean and to touch a pristine mountain lake. To visit the most beautiful landscapes on this planet and to truly appreciate the diversity and the sheer beauty of the earth.
Stop it there.
I just want to go out to the Earth now.
Well, then my job is done.
You did it.
We just all want to go out to the Earth. So there's a lot of things that I feel in just creating this short video that I feel proud of, in terms of pacing and timing and just the overall visuals, that even as someone who is maybe standing on the outside, like I would watch this and feel really inspired to just get out and explore, whether that's down the street from where you live or across the world. There's beautiful places everywhere you go and everywhere you look. And my goal with just this short piece was to not have it filled with overlays and transitions and things like that, and just appreciate the shot and the environment for what it is.
I do want to appreciate the title that came up. The nice little animation of like the outline was gorgeous. That got me for just a second. That right there. Oh yeah, that was magic.
We are going to get to that. That's part of the stream today. So we definitely will show how to create that, and a lot simpler than you think. But I think with a video like this, it's very easy to go overboard and to create something that distracts the viewer from just the visuals themselves. And I wanted to, it took a while to find the right font. And this I actually found through Adobe font. So I eventually found one that had like some slightly variated typeface and line weight. So that actually helped to, I think, like make it stand out.
Yep. And that tiny little surprise working on a video like this always goes such a huge impact, which is a small little thing. It's like, oh, we're not just going to outline it. we're going to make it just outline move a little bit, right? And that one little like 2 seconds makes it like a whole special thing.
I love that you picked up on that too. I mean, as a designer yourself and an illustrator, like you pick up on those things. And so I feel like I want people to just see that, know it's there, but kind of move on from it. So, so that's our video. So obviously it's not finished. Like there's more to it. It'll be kind of a shortened, like 2-minute version. But there's a lot going on there. And I want to try to make this the most useful way to bring people into Premiere, show everyone like more or less like how this was created, and then kind of dive into my tips, and then obviously dive into After Effects towards the end. So if you're just opening Premiere for the first time, welcome to the party. It's a great time. I'm going to move this real quick. So
let's talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
If they are just opening Premiere for the first time, there are some great resources outside of this stream for them to also learn from. James, what things do we have here on Adobe Live that people can learn Premiere on?
Oh man, you have a lot that you can learn on. There's the Daily Creative Challenge, which I have hosted, and I'm hoping to be hosting a little bit more of. So I think maybe next 2 months. But there are plenty of other resources right here on Behance and over on the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. So plug that.
Check them out. Yeah, and if you want to check out those Daily Creative Challenges, we do have them at behance.net/challenge/premiere. We do have some awesome ones from James. We have some more coming up from James, and then we have some other ones starting in the next few weeks. So make sure you check that out. I'm sure Sam will drop a link over in chat. Wait, we're that way today. All right, over in chat.
Somewhere, yeah. I don't know where we are.
One of those, yeah. All right, let's hop in.
Cool. Awesome. So what I've done here is I've already kind of created my palette, but if you go up to the top right corner of Premiere, I believe this just got changed in the new update, so I'm sort of learning it a little bit unless I'm on a different version, but you have workspaces. And what's really nice about workspaces, I'm gonna move us down here a little bit, is it allows you to pop between like your assembly cut, so the very basic part of your cut, into your edit, and then kind of down the timeline. So you'd work like chronologically in your edit most of the time. So you'd want to do your selects, your assembly into your rough cut, and then you would want to do the color and the graphics after that. And you have all these workspaces to do that. So I personally like assembly to get started because you see all of your footage right here on the left hand panel. And because I've already imported this footage, I'm going to go back to where my project window is. And if you're just opening Premiere, this is look empty for you, but for me, I've already created these assets for this video, and you can take a screenshot, you can study this. My folder structure varies just slightly per project, but what I like to do is keep everything very organized. I'm a big proponent of that, especially as your projects continue to get more and more complicated. So your video assets, I like to have a sequences folder because we're going to show a little bit later into the stream, nesting sequences is great for stabilizing footage, for adding different effects to them. It's essentially like a group that you would have in Photoshop or Illustrator or a pre-comp in After Effects. So I name those nests and I put those in a different folder. Cut sequences, this is how I stay organized based on different versions. So if a client, let's say, asked for version 1, that's my rough cut. And then I would duplicate that version once I make more edits, because without a doubt, a client always wants more of what you initially had. And if you edit over that version, you're now destructive and you have to go recreate it. So I always duplicate my sequences and I name them different versions. And then if it's like the final version, I'll color code it with a big like final, and then that's usually final. You know.
And for those of our viewers that are newer to Premiere, what is a sequence? It's basically like a small part of the overall video, right?
Yep. Good question. So the sequence is what you're looking at right down here where it says Earth Day Selects. So when you come in, that's your composition. That's your layer. That's essentially where you're going to build all of your assets. So Command N on a Mac is your shortcut. But if you don't have that, new sequence brings up your sequence right here. And this is how you actually create the sequence that you're going to be building your video in. So you have all of these like preset sequences, but I like to go into settings and just kind of create my own. So when you go to editing mode, RE Cinema, that's just sort of what I use, but you can use any number of these like 1080i, 1080p. RE Cinema gives you, let's see, 2396, 2997. I like 2997 for this specific case. And we're going to go to our frame size and make this 1920 by 1080. And that's your 16:9 aspect ratio. And right now you'll notice it's like 160:999. That's because of this, this pixel aspect ratio. It needs to be square pixels. And this is just, usually it will pop up a little more standard on a new window, but this is a new laptop. So, and then you would just name your sequence down here, whatever you want to name it. So we're going to name this Adobe Live, and then you just press OK. And now we have a new sequence that has popped up right down here. And this is where you're going to drag all of your assets into said timeline.
Yep. So it's just like in a movie, if you're talking about like, oh, we're working on the car chase sequence or whatever, it's just the car chase, not the entire movie, right? We're just working on that tiny little part.
Exactly. Yep. And that just, and you can create as many sequences as you want. That's why I like to have these folders that organize them all, because in a certain project, I may have a sequence for like different sections, and then I have like a full master sequence. So that's just good to know. And then we also have a graphics assets folder. Again, that could be named whatever you want. And I just have a few in here. These are some light leaks and some overlays, some noise. So anything that's like a graphic element that I put on top of the footage. And then I have an audio folder, and that audio folder has voiceover, my sound design, sound effects, and music. So I can keep myself really organized and just know where anything is at any given time. And you also have a search bar up here. So if I'm like going through my sequence and I notice, okay, this clip, A2, whatever, 952, I want to find that in my hugely complicated window over here, I could just search, 952, and I'll see that clip pop up. Yep. And I can just double click that and I can just edit that directly.
Yep. Reward yourself with organization. That's what we're learning, is it is a benefit to you to stay organized. You will love your past self.
It is. It's like, honestly, it's something that I've been doing for probably the entire time I've been editing, like, close to 15 years at this point. And I honestly feel like it's a habit now and second nature, and it helps tremendously when you start working a bigger project. Yep. So that's the organization part of the whole project here. And this is, again, all in assembly mode. So if you were going to actually import your footage, you'd either double click this panel, and I have a hard drive where I already have a lot of these files. So like I said, I've already brought them in here, but you can actually see that a lot of my folders are very similar in my hard drive as they are here. And I do that deliberately so that there's synergy between the two, and I can always find them in either place.
That's cool.
So if let's say you wanted to bring in this clip, you just go imports the file. And once it decides to actually import itself, there we go. Okay, so now your file is imported. And down here at the bottom right, you'll see that there's different views. So this is now icon view. So we can actually scrub through this and see our clip rather than looking at it in list view. And I toggle this back and forth all the time, just based on, what I'm looking to do. So
it's convenient.
Very convenient. Okay, so organization part 1. So what I would do then at this point is, okay, I've gotten everything organized in my project panel right here. And what I want to do is I want to start pulling selects, or the best parts of the clips. And you'll notice here in my video assets, I have a lot of assets. So these are all drone clips. And like I mentioned earlier, I have footage from probably the last 5 years of stuff that I've aggregated on backup drives. And for this project, I wanted to pull everything that I liked, that I thought I could use into this folder. So I have drone clips here. Again, we go into list view so we can actually see them. So we go to video assets, boom. These are all our drone clips, and you can look at them and be like, pretty drones, pretty drone clips. So we have all of our clips here. We got Iceland, we have Colorado, the Bahamas, New Hampshire, New England. We kind of scale the map. Okay. And then if we click this little folder here, it takes us back to our other folder. So I have camera. And so these are anything that I shot on my other camera that's not a drone. We're going to go back into our icons here so we can scroll. And then again, we can see, once everything starts loading, we can see all of our clips in this little thumbnail. And that's the beauty of being in this assembly window right here.
That's interesting that you break it out by like drone and camera. because as you start to like find the emotional like through of the video, it's like, oh, we need a big like sweeping moment here. That's like, oh, drone shots. We need a drone shot. That's what we need. And you have them separated, so you don't have to like scrub and find all these files. You know, okay, cool. We need handheld here. We need drone shot here, gimbal here, or like whatever it is. You can kind of just pick and choose. That's an interesting way to organize.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point too, because this project is one example of that, but for larger shoots, for more professional shoots that maybe a client's hiring me to do, like I separate them by camera if we're on set with another DP or another cinematographer who has maybe like a Sony camera or a Red camera or an ARRI camera, so that I then know, okay, this was shot on this, and it gets really, really specific into the weeds of the like labeling for continuity purposes. But in this case, that's a simple way to do it. And again, not necessarily the way, but a way that I like to keep myself organized.
Yeah, there's no right way in creativity. There are just different ways.
Yes, you got it. You got it, Andrew. And this is another folder that I added, which we're going to get to. This is just additional capture. So I said sound effects and clips. And the reason I added this separately is because a lot of these clips, I'm not sure whether I'm going to use them or not, but the sound design and the sound effects that I recorded on them, because I try to record a lot of my audio diegetically, which is basically like in camera. So I'll have a microphone, or I might have a Tascam recorder set up. And so a lot of these clips have really good sound effects that I don't have to then go source somewhere else. And so the reason I put them here is because I now know that, and I can say, okay, like this clip of the fire, if we play this back, sounds really nice.
Premium.
Like we got some
content.
Premium, crunchy fire that I don't have to go find at another site. So I'm working on kind of over the years aggregating, thank you, different word, my own sound effects pack to sell so that people can kind of get what they need. All right, so that's your organization lesson of the day. All right, so let's go back in here, and I am gonna now open up my other sequence. And again, I'm sort of gonna try to recreate some of this so we can do some live editing as well. So I'm gonna go into my cut sequences, and I'm gonna open up version 2, which I've already created. And what'll naturally happen is this timeline will open up directly next to your selects. So you have your selects here, and you have your version 2. And a lot of the time, this is most people edit this way. I've edited this way for a long time, but recently I've been employing the like Pancake edit method. Anyone in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about, it's basically take your selects, which are right above your cut. So the reason to do this, I'll show you right now. We're going to drag our version 2 down here to the bottom where it starts to light up purple. We're going to drop that in. And now what we essentially have is we have like 2 timelines that are stacked on top of each other. And our selects, which we've gone through and actually selected, we can then just drag them straight down into our window here without having to copy and paste everything. So
that's convenient.
It's very convenient. So let's say like this clip right here. Let's say I really like that clip to start the video because I was dabbling with that. Command K will actually cut that clip. That's a nice little shortcut. If not, you can go over to your razor blade tool, and C will bring up the blade. And let's say I just want to drag this just down here on my timeline. Now I can place this anywhere, and you'll notice that it drags the video and the audio with it. So now if I bring this up, and again, I just sort of place that anywhere, but let's say we want to change this and make this our clip to start the video. I'm going to drag this down. I don't really love the audio there because there's not much happening. So I'm going to press Command L, and that unlinks it. Delete that bad boy right there. And now rather than that first clip we have, now we have this clip with our text, which I don't like because we can't see the text. And that's sort of the reason I chose the other one. So oops, let's get
being able to just pancake and not necessarily have to drag out of an assets panel. Like your brain can stay in just timeline mode, right? You're just like, cool, this is what timeline looks like. This is what timeline looks like. Let's put those together instead of trying to go back and forth from left to right.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very helpful. And if you have a bigger monitor too, it helps a lot more because then you can really see things. I personally, I like seeing my timeline like that, and a lot of people are like, no, I need to look at it like this. So if you want to expand that, little shortcut is Shift plus. So Shift plus will actually expand everything on your timeline. Shift minus will collapse it. And then Option plus just expands your audio, and Command plus just expands your video. And the reason I like to do that is because then I can actually see the clip. And once we start talking about all these little handles, I can adjust the opacity, I can adjust the speed right here on my clip rather than going into my effects controls.
Those hotkeys are so helpful. I run a vertical screen usually when I'm editing, and this workflow would be fantastic to run on a vertical screen because you would just have a lot of real estate to work with vertically. Stack those pancakes.
Stack those pancakes. That's actually so true. Maybe I should start I have a little space over here. Like I'll just get rid of everything on the desk and just like throw up a vertical monitor. Okay, so let's just let's go a couple minutes. I want to actually do some selects and show you real quick how I kind of came to this point. So this is the more rudimentary part of Premiere, but it is so important because it gets you from point A to point Z, and it's the starting point. So I'm starting my video from scratch, even though I'm not. So Command N, we're going to go back in here. I'm going to go to my settings. We are going to go to our RE Cinema 2396 is what I'm setting that to. Again, 1920 by 1080. All right, and square pixels. Again, I'm not totally sure why that's necessary, but it is, so just do it. Earth Day, Adobe Live. Okay, and we're gonna name this selects so that we know this is our select sequence, and press OK. And now you'll see that we have our selects that I've done, and now we have our new selects window. And I'm doing this again so that everyone can kind of see the process behind how we do this. So this is basically how I would start. I'd go in here, and this is sort of the first preliminary process. Imagine this being like your research for your research paper. You go in here and you say, okay, like double click, where in this clip do I like? Okay, I like that there's a little bit of movement here. Maybe we can slow that down. So I'm gonna go I for in, O for out, and then I'm gonna press comma. And you'll notice if we zoom in on our timeline, comma brings our entire clip right into our selects panel, which is great. So rather than anything that's a shortcut saves us time and it saves us money. So there we go. That took literally like half a second. And now we're on to our next clip. All right, so now we go here. Maybe I want to bring up this cool field, but I don't like the way the sun's blown out. So we're gonna skip over that one. Let's go down here with me swimming. I look straight up like a frog, but
it's a very froggy stroke. Yes.
It's a super froggy stroke. So this is a longer clip. I want to make sure no one sees my bald head. So we're going to go here because I like just that little movement. So we're going to scroll I, and I like my little backstroke. So we're going to go O again, comma, and now we have that clip. So now we got 2 clips in our timeline with the audio brought in. And you're noticing if we drag this down, there's really not much happening audio wise because it's pretty low. So on this first clip, I'll just Command L and delete it. That's one option. Or if you want to hold on to that audio in case down the line, when you're bringing it into your project, you may use it, you can actually highlight this and go to enable, and you disable it. Oops. We just want to disable the audio. So I'm going to just disable this. So now it's actually like grayed out. And what's nice about that is now you have this clip together, but if you choose, you want to use that audio for some background sound design, you can in the future.
And will Command L link and unlink? Will it go back and forth, or does it just unlink?
Nope, it goes back and forth. So Command L, now it's unlinked, and then you highlight them both, and now we're linked again. So You'll see that little like whatever you call it, those little brackets around that V, that means that they're linked.
Cool.
Okay. So this is how we would go through our selects and continue to build our first foundational part of the project. So again, like I keep going here. I love this time lapse, really cool time lapse in Great Sand Dunes in Colorado. So let's take this, and I'm already looking at this knowing, okay, it's a really slow time lapse. I'm going to speed it up in some capacity, or maybe I'm going to mask out the sky and replace it and use it somewhere else that is more interesting in the foreground, which you saw in the video and we are going to get to in a little bit. So again, I and O. If you don't want to press comma because your fingers are sore, you can just, not that would ever like be a thing.
My fingers hurt.
My fingers hurt. You would just drag this and that just manually drags it in. And this is currently snapping to our timeline. So that's a good thing. We want these to snap. But if you didn't want these clips to snap as you were dragging them in, you wanted space between them, I drag them in and I press S. Oops. And now you can see that the snapping is gone, and that's just your shortcut for snapping and unsnapping, all these things. And again, like all of the shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts that Premiere has default, if you're just opening Premiere for the first time, if you wanted to change them because you just have a preference of your shortcuts, you go up here to Premiere Pro and keyboard shortcuts, and you just come in here. And if you search the tool you're looking for, so let's say like razor tool, that shortcut is set to C right now, but you can change this if you like the letter B, or whatever works for you on your keyboard. So you can customize this keyboard shortcut window the more you use Premiere.
Yep. And this is something that you can do in pretty much every Adobe program. I don't think people realize that you can customize all of your hotkeys to whatever you want. And it's really helpful if you have a specific style that you work in, being able to just hit keys that do things for you so you don't have to click. It's a great resource.
Absolutely. So
gosh,
this
for a second, I thought that rock was a fish, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you caught a big one!" And it's just,
I know. As I'm like fishing for another fish that would be right in front of
you
my
just
feet.
got it sitting next to you. And you're like, you know what? We need more. Get it in here.
Yeah, exactly. So this clip, if we listen here, I don't think this clip, and we'll notice here that when I pulled this in, it zoomed our clip, and the reason for that is because we set our Earth Day sequence to 1920 by 1080, and this clip was shot at 4K, so it's twice the size of that sequence. So what I do is I come in here and I set to frame size, and now our clip is set to the size that we need it to be.
We do have a question from our friend Evan. He says, how do you snap to the end of a clip? How do you turn that snapping on and off?
So if you're not using your shortcut, there's usually a button up. Where is it? Right up here. So snap in timeline, you'll see that little like magnetic tool. Just click that off and now it won't snap, or just press S on your keyboard. And again, going back to those keyboard shortcuts, you can change that keyboard shortcut to anything that you'd like. So I just keep it at S because that's what I'm used to. And it is very helpful for, just when you get into those minor details, that it helps to be able to move around a little more free flowing.
Cool. And we did ask chat a little bit earlier. I asked where everyone was watching from because we're talking about the Earth. Yes. And we have people from Germany. We have New Zealand,
wow.
LA. We've got the South. It looks like we're covering a good smattering of the Earth here.
I love it. Yeah. Welcome everybody. That makes me very just giddy with joy.
I think we both want to come visit all of you individually in all those places.
100%. I wish I want to go everywhere. I feel like my bucket list is never going to get any shorter because I just need to go. I need to travel. Like it's just in my DNA. So creating videos like this and talking about it just gets me more motivated. And we're getting back in the van in a little less than like 3 weeks. And we're going to be going on another cross-country trip out to Oregon and the Olympics and Cascades, and really beautiful part of the world. So
heck yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to go through the whole selects process because that would take us the entire stream. And I think I just wanted everyone to sort of understand the process and how important that is to do first. As eager as it can be to get into a project right away, it's really important to start there, especially on something like this. I think if you do more planning, like this video was not a super planned thing because I shot all of these clips over the course of 5 years. So my goal was, okay, how do I create something out of what I already have rather than how do we plan something and then organize for it? And your selects would look a lot different if that's the process that you took.
Yep. So let's cooking show it. And we mix all the ingredients together, put it in the oven for 20 minutes at 450. And then suddenly we have what?
And then set the Martha Stewart. And then suddenly we have all of our selects right here.
Look at that.
So similar to the way that I organize my panel, I have all of these selects of anything that's on my camera. I actually like color code a lot of these things. So I color coded these 3 clips here because I just liked that they were all the same framing of my feet. And I thought that I wanted to use that in some way for continuity and like a cool sequence. So I labeled those orange. And the way you would label these clips is just highlight them, label, and then you can label this anything you want. So for this case, and the nice thing is like it'll be labeled in then this part here, I think.
Yep. And I love that your process is so much organization and just carving things out, right? I've heard like people who work with marble get the block of marble and they're like, there's a statue in there. You just have to like carve it out. That's what this is like there is a film in this footage, we're just going to organize and carve it out.
Yep, absolutely. I really do that a lot. I've kind of, it's sort of become my style in a way, and I don't even know if that's the style I want to be known for, but I like really getting creative with the edit after I try to have an idea in my head. And a lot of these clips, again, are from like different organized shoots. So I've been pulling those. And I think if you travel professionally, even if you don't, and you go anywhere with a camera and you're interested in filmmaking and you're interested in creating videos, like just shooting what's around you, shooting landscapes is a great way to practice your editing as well, because once you edit it, you realize, oh, I don't like the way those cut together, and there's a reason for that. And so you get better and better and more refined as you go. And then you can have the luxury of saying, oh, I have all these clips, like, let me make a meal with it. You know, professional chefs can make liquid or gold out of, you know, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So
yep.
Never thought I'd make a metaphor like that, but I'm really glad I did. So here's all my drone clips, and I've labeled those a different color. And if you go through your up and down arrows, this just goes from clip to clip. So I have some clips here from lava in Iceland from a volcano eruption, which was unbelievable. Evan, if he's still in the chat, was actually there with us that day. This is from South Carolina. We have New England, Iceland, some more clips of Iceland, some glaciers. So just a lot of really, really cool, compelling clips that I know will cut together really well, even if there's not like a specific transition point. So first step done. So that's the sauce. Okay, we have the sauce, or we have the ingredients out. And so what I then did is I started then piece by piece pulling these into our timeline here. And I was hosting last week on another video stream, and a question came up about like process of, do you put music first or do you lead with the visuals? And I think in this case, I kind of did a little bit of both. So I knew that I really wanted to have a super cool, like cinematic song. So before we switch into the next view, I'm going to go into my panels. I'm going to go to editing. So now I'm in my editing panel, and now I have my version 2 up top. And if let's say I want to move this back, I'll just put this next to each other so we have more real estate to work with. Just while we're editing here, let's expand this timeline.
Now we're in like a taco lineup instead of pancakes, right? It's
yeah, taco lineup instead of pancakes. Perfect. Okay, so our music choice, if I solo this track, the reason I liked the intro to that is just it gives you time, it gives you some space. And again, my goal for this is, in a world of everything coming at you really, really fast, social media, Instagram Reels being vertical, TikTok, it has to catch your attention right away. My intention with this was not to do that. It was to create something that, if you have patience, if you really are enjoying watching things like this, you can sit back and just feel almost like meditative in a way. And so
when you're working on a video like this, are you thinking about like, what's the journey that we want to take them on before you even start? And then that helps you kind of make these early decisions?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in this case, I had an idea in mind, and then it still hasn't really come together yet in that way. But the idea with this one was like the earth awakens. And so everything starts at a sunrise, you know, and the birds early in the morning. And we have the clip of Anna here in Abu Dhabi at sunrise. And we have like the woods shining through. And so everything, it's the earth waking up.
I love that.
And so like, it's subtle because it's not like right in your face, but I tried to have all the clips that I had, again, like what I had at my disposal, match that. And so, you know, all those clips were from sunrise. We have this clip that's a little later in the day. So we're starting to kind of move through the day. And when the song hits here, we get a really nice, like a natural, like downbeat of the song, where I thought, okay, this will be a really great time to include some voiceover. And rather than have the voiceover start the video and just immediately get you in, it gives a viewer a chance to like sit in their seat, breathe, get into it, and then all of a sudden be introduced to the narrator.
And almost wake up to the video.
Exactly. Yeah, wake up to the video. Perfect way to put it. So that was my intention in the beginning. And then ideally what I wanted to do is, as you continue to kind of move through the video, you're seeing more of the shots of, at first it was like more shots during the day, but I just didn't want to be that chronological. And my intention at the end, which I didn't have time to finish, is to kind of end on some of these like campfire moments where like you hear the crackling of the fire and like maybe some other voiceover to kind of come out with it. So that was the idea for the story. All right. So another thing I really intend or try to do is, and this is a really good tip for just editing in general, is like clips. So clips that are either the same sort of theme, or they have the same plane, or they have the same horizon line, because you can edit them together in a more seamless way and then not feel like they're an awkward cut. So for example, this clip here, I have Anna, right? So if you go up here to the guides, I'll turn guides on, and I've created a center point for my image. So I know I love the way she's centered. I want her directly in the frame. And again, we're going to the rule of thirds, the same as applies to photography and video. If we scroll here, I have the seagull also in the center of the frame, but I move a little bit. So as I move, you actually get the lighthouse to the right of the frame and then the seagull on the left of the frame. So there's a little bit of continuity there. And then these clips, I wanted to match up the lake to the ocean. And I'm going to get into my first little editing technique here. Yes. And that is called speed ramping. So you've probably noticed it a couple times in here, but if I play this clip back, I'm going to mute the music. You can see just this clip going from one speed into this really fast speed here, and we'll see the arc on our clip. And the reason I like doing that is it just moves the pace a little bit more, and you can then time clips to sounds of music and different beats in a song.
Yep. Anytime I see speed ramping, all that I think about is that sequence in 300 where it's like pulling in and zooming, and it's got that like speed ramp into the slow and then speed ramp back into the fast.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And like, I mean, you can get so detailed and like just out of control with it, but I try to use it a little bit subtly for this specific case. So this clip here, we have a 4K time lapse. So if I actually turn my properties off, if we go up here into our effects controls, you can see that I actually scaled this from 165, or maybe I didn't scale it. Let's see. We're gonna delete those keyframes here. And again, this is what the clip looks like without that scale property. So I'm actually going to keyframe, and I want to have the clip start in on that horizon line and then zoom out so that when it speeds, it's like being pulled out into the next clip. So I'm going to go, we have our stopwatch on, so I'm going to press add keyframe here. So we start at 115, let's drag down, and let's go maybe 145. And let's see if that's subtle. And I'm going to drag these keyframes all the way to the end of my clip and play that back. And it looks a little awkward because I think right here, oh, you know what it is? I already have a property, I think, on there. Let's just delete that. Sometimes you got to reverse engineer, and it's a little harder to reverse engineer. Okay, so let's start with the speed ramp. So if you click on this clip here, right click, you'll see these keyframe options down at the bottom. So you have time remapping, opacity, and motion. Time remapping, you click speed. And what speed is allowing you to do is change the duration of the clip. Pretty simple. So if you clicked Command J, I've set this to my clip speed duration. This pulls up the actual speed, but speed ramping is a little bit different. So right now, if I look at this clip, it's at 100%, and I want the clip to basically ramp up as fast as it can to hit this point in between the waves, because we do hear a little bit of like this wave crashing. And I thought that with maybe an addition of like this whoosh sound would make a really cool transition. So basically what we're going to do is if I pull this all the way down to 100 again ish, it now extends our clip a lot because that clip is a lot longer. But what I want to do is I want to actually come in here. I'm going to delete this. Okay, cool. So this is just where our clip is right now. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to press P on my keyboard, and that's going to bring up the pen tool. And now what you'll notice is I've added this little like point here, and anything to the right of this is going to actually be faster or slower depending on what you do with this level. So I'm going to pull this all the way up. Let's go to like 850%. So that's 850% of that clip. And now you can see that the clip has gotten shorter. And this would look cool, but I want to actually go in and adjust these parameters, because if we pull these apart now, we have an option to like ease this clip a little bit more. So it's not so abrupt.
Yep.
All right. And then I'm going to drag this down so it's a little bit closer to my clip, and just let's play it back and test if it's too fast. Okay, that's pretty good. That's really fast, but it's just enough where it kind of gives you the idea that like something is happening.
Yeah, little visual interest.
Absolutely. So like some visual interest going on. All right. And then again, if we're going to take this clip, maybe I want to zoom this in at the same time. So I'm going to go up here to scale. I'm going to turn these scale properties off and reset myself. So these parameters here, reset your parameter, reset and reset. So now this is the way that the clip was shot, which actually looks really nice. Like I like being able to see the whole thing, but I do want to zoom in on it a little bit and make it just that much more impactful. So we're going to press toggle animation. Let's toggle the position in case we have to move it. And I'm going to drag this all the way down, and we're going to go right about here. All right. And let's go to 145 because that might be really crazy. And then we're going to drag these keyframes. Sweet.
Ooh, that's a cool effect.
Yeah. So again, like very simple to do. And I think when you stack them on top of different clips over time and when they're used in the right ways, they're subtle, but people notice them. And I think that's what's really cool about these motion parameters up here and keyframes like this. So let's see. So I have that. Let's see. I know I have a couple other options here of where I speed ramped. All right. So we're going to get to speed ramping again, but I want to hit on another really great trick in Premiere, which is nesting, like I mentioned before. And so Premiere automatically, when you nest a clip, so if I right clicked on this me fly fishing on a river clip, and let's say I wanted to nest this so it's more of a group, you come in here and you nest it, and then you can name this as like James fly fishing poorly, right? So that was when I was just learning how. And now we have this clip that's on its own, now own sequence. So we've created basically its own spot that we can then do whatever we want to this. But the reason I like to use nests is to stabilize footage, because it allows you to nest a clip and then stabilize something if it's a little bit shaky. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's find a good one that I did here. How we doing over there in the chat? Any questions, Andrew? What are we, am I good?
There hasn't been anything coming in. If you do have questions, go ahead and drop them into chat. Let us know and I'll pass them along. We can chat about it. Cool. I do, while we do this, want to talk a little bit about the history of Earth Day, because it's coming up tomorrow, actually, is the 52nd Earth Day, I believe. It started in 1970. Over the years, 190 countries have engaged and celebrated Earth Day. And it started, April 22nd, 1970, as a start of awareness for modern environmental movements. So we're in.
Man, I love that.
Right? Yeah. 50 some years. It's funny because you kind of think of things as Earth Day as like, oh, we've always celebrated. And I love looking into the history and figuring out like, oh, where did this actually start? And I found if you want to go to earthday.org, they have great resources there. And on their history page, they actually have a clip of the news broadcast where it's like the idea of Earth Day is starting, which I think is so cool to see the genesis of this thing that we celebrate every year.
Yeah, it does feel like it's just been a part of our history, and really should have been for a long time. But it's cool that we're celebrating 50 years and hopefully continuing many, many more, and just having action too. Again, like Paco was on here yesterday, and we were talking about just getting out and taking action, and that doesn't necessarily mean having to donate to organizations or anything like that, although that is great. But taking action and again, educating yourself on the plants around, the birds, the wildlife, just the atmosphere, geography in general, I think is a great education.
Yep. So one of the things, and this is a little bit of a side story, but one of the things that I've gotten into is magnet fishing.
Magnet fishing.
And so it's fun, but it's really like an environmental kind of hobby. And you basically, I got this big magnet and you hook it onto a carabiner and a super long rope. And I'll go to like lakes and rivers and beaches, and you just chuck this magnet in and then drag it along the bottom, and it picks up any metals that are down there.
Oh my God.
And so you're finding cool stuff, but you're also mostly just like cleaning up rivers and lakes and ponds from like bottle caps and random stuff. And so I found like knives. I pulled a printer out of a lake, like a full-size printer that someone had just chucked in there. And so it's become this fun, like it's a great hobby. You find cool stuff and you're helping out the environment. So if you can do something like that, that's great action. If you have fun doing it and it helps, go for it.
That's amazing. What a cool thing to do.
Right?
I love that. Yes. And anyone else that's in the chat, like, let us know what you're doing for Earth Day, what you are going to be doing to celebrate this weekend. I will be doing some fishing and just being outside. So it's going to be fun.
Yep. And we have a question from Clever Delin saying, what length of times is considered a typical short film? What's kind of the zone that you would shoot for something like that?
That's kind of all, I guess, relative to what the project is. Like, I'm calling this a short film, but I would hardly categorize it as that. It's more of like this, it's almost like a glorified montage that I'm trying to kind of turn into a short film.
Yep.
I think because you can consider short films to be 20 minutes too, if they're more like narrative based. So it really is whatever you feel like. I think the answer is whatever you feel works to tell the story and get the point across that you want to tell. And if it's shorter and it can kind of keep people's attention in that time frame, then go for it.
Yep.
All right. So let's say this clip, I really like this clip, but maybe there's a little bit of shakiness to it that I'm not loving, even though I think it works handheld. So again, this is to show kind of how we use nests. So we're going to right click, nest, and Anna, hand, water. And then I just press nest. So I know if I'm going to go back and organize this again, I can then throw that right in here and everything's titled nest. And I want to actually warp stabilize this. I want to try to stabilize this footage because at the time I didn't have a tripod. So warp stabilizer is under the distort video effect. We're going to drag that puppy in there. And then you're going to notice it's going to do its thing. It's going to initialize. And the result is essentially smooth motion. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes it gives you this weird, I don't know, like banding around the edges, but let's play it and see what it did. That did a pretty good job, actually. And I feel like just that alone helps to stabilize the subtle shakiness that was there. And if you're doing a clip that's way too shaky, what you can do is adjust these parameters. So you can adjust the stabilize, crop, auto scale to maybe stabilize only. And then what it'll do is it won't crop this outside edge. And then
I love watching that view.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. So this is a very powerful tool to use in After Effects if you don't have a tripod, if you had a little bit of shaky movements. And the way that you would do that is to nest these clips and then add that stabilizer on top. And you'll notice that I've used that kind of throughout this piece. So the way we started here, this clip was very shaky and I've stabilized it to the point where, it works as that handheld clip. All right, so we are just getting through it. Everybody, I want to get into some cool okay, this is what we're gonna do. While we're still in Premiere, I want to show how to mask out a background like I was mentioning before. So if we play this back here, I'm gonna play with the music because let's just get it.
Let's vibe.
Here we go. So let's play from here.
On this planet, and to truly appreciate
sorry, didn't want that.
On this planet.
Why is it doing that? It just keeps going.
And to truly appreciate the diversity and the sheer beauty of the earth.
Cool. I love that song. It's just like so. I searched world.
It feels very world.
It feels very worldly. At first I was like, I don't have any footage of like cheetahs running through the safari, which feels like that's what I should be seeing, but it also kind of works. So I'm okay with it. So,
and someone is asking in chat real quick, why did you nest first? We talked about that a little bit. Why did you nest before you did the stabilizing?
I'm not sure exactly why Premiere doesn't allow you to just nest, to add a stabilization on top of a regular clip, but you can't do it. So if I was going to nest this clip and I went to go drag it on, it doesn't allow me to do it. So you have, and that actually is because that one's a speed issue. So sometimes in addition to the nest, let's find one that I didn't adjust.
So nesting kind of just resets it to be open to whatever we need to put it on. And the stabilizer can kind of just work on top of whatever.
Yeah, actually now maybe this is a new feature that they're able to do it.
And to
so you can you can stabilize it without the nest. I like to use the nest for if I'm going to adjust the speed. And that's the reason. So you can't really be adjusting the speed and the stabilizer at the same time. So you have to nest the clip and then you can adjust the speed. It's a bit of a workaround. Hope that answers your question. All right, so let's go here. So I liked this clip. I'm gonna hide our background. You're gonna see what I did here. And I didn't do a very good job, but this, again, for rough purposes. So this clip, if we remove our mask, this is the clip. Oops. Okay, so this is our clip. I'm gonna mute this so I can hear myself. And I've always really liked this clip. I like the clouds, but I was like, okay, cool. Like I have this time lapse. Maybe I can actually incorporate that time lapse as the clouds move. So there's just more visual, something else going on in the background. So it's funny to actually look at these together because those clouds look very similar. So if I turn this off, and I'm gonna actually do this now. I remove the mask and I'm gonna show you how to do it right here. So I'm gonna drag this down. And actually, I'm gonna open up my Windows panel and I'm gonna go to Captions and Graphics, because this sort of allows me a different layout for masking and just having a little bit more room. So I'm gonna come in here. All right, so I wanna mask out this sky up here with this sky from my time lapse on the background. All right, and I'm gonna get rid of my Lumetri color and we're just gonna do this all together, because that's what we're here for.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna come in here with the pen tool. So under the opacity property, you're gonna see your different points. I'm gonna take the pen tool, and I am in no way good with the pen tool. I'll just say that right now. So if anyone's in the chat and is like, yeah, that's not how you do it, I'm sorry, but I'm decent enough.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it's going to happen.
This is how James is gonna do it.
Yes.
All right, so what I'm doing is I'm adding points here and I'm dragging and Andrew, you're like amazing with the pen tool, so let me know if I'm just like doing something totally wrong.
You're doing it like pretty right.
All right, so I'm kind of like, I'm roughly going in here and I'm trying to basically like outline the mountain, because what I want to do is I want to take the sky and replace it with the cool time-lapse sky behind it. So again, it's hard because the sky here sort of overexposed, like blew out the clouds a little bit. So I'm going to just do my best. So I'm using these points. I'm coming in here. Let's remove that one.
I like to think of the pen tool, and this is the metaphor that I always use, is it's really just a roller coaster, and you're telling it like where the heights and lows are and then how much speed you want going forward.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right? You just think about it as momentum of where that line is supposed to be going.
Absolutely. All right. So here, oops, this one for some reason doesn't want to.
You could pull that node back on that one.
Like that here.
Other side. Pull that one just all the way back to the point, to the left. Yeah, right there. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and that'll make it so that the transition isn't as harsh.
See, we're learning.
There we go. Learning together here on Adobe Live.
Here on Adobe Live. All right, so I'm gonna then zoom this out. So let's go to like 75%. All right, pen, and we're gonna close this puppy up. Whoa, that's not what we want to do. What do we do? Don't freak out. Here's what we do. So we come over to our mask, and right now we want to invert this because our time lapse is under this, but we want to actually see the foreground of the mountain drone shot, not the cloudy time lapse. So we're going to invert this, and boom.
There we go.
Okay, now at the very least, what we've done is we've actually like added this sky, and it looks like garbage personally, but we get the idea. Like we know that it's there, and we've been able to mask that out. So I think it looks really cool, but we're still missing some refinements of this actual mask. So let's go back in here to the mask. Okay, and one of the first things I'm noticing is that the feather of this mask looks a little wonky.
Yep, and that's just the blurriness around the edge is the feather.
Right. Yeah, so like in here, so if we look at the expansions, you have all these properties. You have feather, opacity, expansion. If you've never opened up a mask property in Premiere, these are your 4 ones you're using. Expansion will actually expand that mask if you like. It's better when it's just a square or a circle or something where you're off the edges. So you can just expand that rather than going into these points. So we're going to leave that alone. Feather, I'm going to actually bring up maybe like around 40% because we have these clouds that are, again, like creating that highlight on the mountains that I think would help to just blend them a little bit more. And we can take this up even more. but let's just maybe we'll go 50. And Andrew, tell me if you think that like it needs to be higher once we play it back. And then we have our opacity, and then the mask path, we don't need to worry about necessarily in this one. That would basically be animating, right? That path.
If you're moving things around, yep.
If you're moving things around. So it is helpful to use, but just not in this specific case. Okay, so let's just play that real quick from this view so we can see it a little better. I'm gonna press V to bring up my pointer and get me out of there. All right, so it's still, the feather doesn't look bad, but I think when we actually do the color grading on it, it's gonna blend itself in a little bit more. So that would be my next step here, because the sky itself, you know, looks like it was maybe shot at a different time of day. Yep. It's a little bit darker than this clip. So we want to make sure we're matching those clips together. So,
and question from chat, is there a difference between inverting rather than selecting subtract in the mask pull down?
That's a good question. Let me, come on here. Subtract in the mask pull down. So I'm not sure.
Masking out. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Jesse, let us know what you're referencing to, and maybe we can get to that.
I think it's the same thing, because you're inverting, you're just subtracting it. Well, I don't know if you're necessarily subtracting, but that's in essence what you're doing in creating that mask and inverting it. So
yeah, similar concepts.
Yeah. All right. So next thing I want to do is I want to actually color grade this. So I'm going to go into my panel. Again, we're working in different panels here all the time. So we're going to go to color window. And now we have our lumetri scopes to the right, or lumetri scopes, however, what part of the world you're from. But we have all of our, basically our information here, which I'm not as concerned. I'm mostly concerned with just getting it to match the clip that we have right here. So I'm going to go to my...
That feathering is going to be super helpful for us to match the actual sky atmosphere from what's there. Even though it has the haloing, like it's going to be super helpful.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're actually clicked on our right clip, because I was on my mountain clip. We don't want to do that. We want to do the one underneath. So the first thing I can tell and I notice is that this is a much warmer foreground, which I think looks really good. If we wanted it to be cooler, maybe we would do the inverse and we would color grade the mountain rather than the sky. But I'm going to color grade the sky, and I'm going to bring up my white balance, and I'm going to just warm this up. And you'll notice that, okay, like cool. Now we're bringing some warmth back into this sky a little bit. So again, toggle on and off. Okay, just that alone brought in some warmth. I think I want to definitely bring the highlights up, because that's where we're going to see a lot of the blending happening along the ridge of that mountain. And I want to take these whites and I want to really bring these up, because again, it looks like we're shooting this, I think I was in the middle of the day.
Yep.
I also want to just keep bringing this warmth up, because I think it's still a little blue, but it's a blue sky. We want to keep the integrity. And I actually think I might bring the saturation down a little bit, because the sky seemed a little too blue. All right, so if we go before and after, even just that is helping to, as you can tell, like blend these little feathered points that's happening along the ridge here.
Yep.
And then we can take it one step further, and let's go in, and it looks like maybe the midtones, let's change the blue hue slightly.
And I was going to ask, are you looking at any parts of the mountain to pull those colors? Like the road is the lightest and the shadows are the darkest. Are you trying to pull to match certain places?
Yeah, in this case, I'm sort of pulling it to match like up here on the mountains, because that's in essence like what it would be, the realistic part of it. And I can honestly, like, even because I had the, like if I were to, I think I can hide this, right? Can I not hide the mask? Well, oh yeah, here we go. So if I actually hide that mask and turn it off, you can I can sort of see what it looked like when I shot it. So I can do my best to match this. So what I can tell here is that the blue sky is still a little too dark. So I might bring those whites up a little more. And it looks like maybe the hue of that sky is a little too purple here, but I need it to be a little more like teal.
Yep.
So I'm gonna work on those two things right now and make sure I turn my mask back on. Okay, so again, we're just playing around. So I might actually bring the exposure up a little bit until there's no, I want to make sure I have all the information here and I'm not clipping anything. So right here, you can see that at my lumetri scopes, I actually have this long line, and that's probably because some of this is being slightly blown out. If I were to adjust this, you can see now I'm not clipping, but in this case, I think it's okay because you're not really going to tell.
Yep.
Let's see, tint. I'm going to maybe take the tint to the green, just a twin.
It's looking good.
Yeah, it's coming together. And then curves, we want to take the blue and we want to change the hue of this a little bit. So I'm going to take the eyedropper tool, right? And we can sample the color. And what it's done now is it's created these points right here in my hue window. And I'm going to hold shift and pull this one way or another. So this is like extreme. Obviously we don't like that, but I just want to pull this up subtly to bring more of like the blue hue of that western sky. You know, it looks really good. All right, we'll bring that up. And if I toggle that off, you can see that did just enough of what I'm looking for. Again, subtle is the name of the game in this sort of situation. You want it to seem like it's there. And let's take the saturation down just a little bit as well. All right, so eyedropper tool there, shift, and that's too much, but let's just bring it down a little bit. All right, and now if we press before and after, we've now done a really pretty darn good job, if I do say so myself.
World of difference.
World of difference. We should just have like all these earth puns today.
Yep, that's it.
Any sentence needs to be earth. All right, so let's just play this little section back and let's see if the mask and the color correction did what we needed it to do. Cool. So it's certainly, there's still like, you can definitely tell, Andrew, I'm sure you can kind of see some of like the fringing happening maybe up here on the mountains, but I think overall you can come in here, you can refine this as you need it. But the masking tool, it's a really helpful tool to use in Premiere as you go through all this and as you create different kind of hybrid environments. And I just think it's a really cool effect to be able to cut certain things out. And we didn't have a ton to cut out. Obviously we can see up here on the trees, this is really where you can kind of notice it the most, right along the tops of the trees, because we have a stream that we have to make sure we have time to continue on, and we can't cut that out all day.
But doing stuff like this is, especially with a shorter clip like this, you can kind of hide it because it's only on screen for what, 2-3 seconds.
Yeah.
You can kind of hide it, especially with the motion, with the movement. You'd have to really focus on this clip to notice that was happening.
Yep, exactly. There's something weird happening on the side there. But...
And Jesse Rogers is saying color correction really fixed that seam. Yes, it did. And I think that having that feather was super helpful because when we're able to see what we're matching to what's actually there.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. So I do want to get back into color correction a little bit more if we have some time later to show a couple more views of like comparison views and how to actually grade certain clips to each other. But I really did want to get to the title in After Effects and
let's do it.
Show everyone how to sort of create this.
Let's do it. Yep. And for time, we have about 50-ish minutes left, cool. I believe. Cool. So we got some time.
All right, great. Awesome. All right. So as I mentioned before, and as whoever was watching this in the beginning, I'm just going to play this real quick. This is our title, just a very subtle title. So
sometimes I truly wonder how I was blessed to be put on this earth.
Man, Nat Geo, what's up? Are you on the stream?
Right? Yeah. What's up? Sponsorship. Let's do it.
So, all right. So the way I started with this title, first, I went over to Adobe fonts to find the right font. What did I do here? It's Adobe Fonts, right?
Yep. Yes, fonts.adobe.com, straight through.
Fonts.adobe.com. I honestly cannot remember what the name of this font is, but let's go find out.
Okay, I'm gonna guess it's Railway.
I think it's Hero New.
Hero New, not even close. We tried though.
But close. Railway looks very similar though.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what I wanted is, again, head over to Adobe Fonts. They really do have a great selection of fonts, so you can kind of search different font packs here and just like start to see what stands out to you. And again, what matches the theme or the style of the video that you're trying to create. And in this case, I knew I wanted something subtle, simple, clean lines, like very light and just fading in, but still standing out. And that was my intention. And what I ended up with was this font called Hero New. So I came in here and I really liked the way it looked. And I've come in here and I've activated the main font here, and I've activated another line weight. You can do ultralight. I actually kind of want to maybe activate this one as well.
Just in case, why not?
Because now that I see them, I might actually adjust our title a little bit. So I'm going to activate both these.
If it's included, why not sync them all?
Done. We're doing it all. Okay. So you're in Premiere. You want to create a cool title, maybe outside of Premiere in After Effects. So what you can do is, I, again, have already created this, but I'm going to recreate part of this in Premiere, and then we're going to bring it into After Effects. So I'm going to go into our panel here. I keep moving us around, Andrew, because the panel's like right up here.
That's all right.
Captions and graphics. Okay, this is where you're going to do your titles. You can do them other places, but this is where you should do your titles. All right, so I'm just going to use this frame just to get my title on the screen. So we're going to press T, and we're going to type this out, okay? And the beauty is, or what did I say? The earth. The earth, and the beauty was the other part. The earth, okay? Looks awesome. Not very awesome. So we're going to come in here.
Ship it. Nat Geo, what's up?
Done. Where's Comic Sans? Let's go.
It.
All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to search for my text that I just activated. If my mouse cooperated with me. Okay, hero new. Here we go. All right, let's try that again. So hero new. There we go. Okay, so hero new. That looks already infinitely better. All right, and if I right click, or if I double click this, I have my other options. So I have my regular now, I have my light, I have my thin, and I have my hairline. So I have different line weights, which I really like because you can create, and Andrew, I know you really enjoy that as an illustrator and someone who's super into graphics. So let's say this is maybe the start of what we want to do, but I want to, rather than just like a normal opacity fade or just a simple fade in, I want to do something a little bit different. I want it to kind of like blur in and have a bit more character to it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this clip here, and we're going to actually go in and animate the rest of it in After Effects. So you right click and go replace with After Effects composition. All right. And now, because we already have After Effects open, it has opened up in that same project, which is great. So we have our other one right here, so we can kind of reference it. And you'll notice, if anyone's new to After Effects, this is what it looks like. I'm not going to do an After Effects lesson because that will take too long, but you can do some really cool things. So this has essentially come in as a pre-comped version of the text. So you have to double click it. So if I double click it, now we have the earth. Now we have this is our text layer, the same that we would have in Premiere in After Effects. Okay, and so for the sake of ease of use, I'm going to press Y on my keyboard. I'm going to drag this to the center, and then I'm going to come over to align. I'm just going to line this up in the middle, and I may make this a little bigger so we can all see it. All right, so if I saved this right now, so if I just press save on my keyboard and I go back into Premiere, here's the power.
Is it going to auto sync?
So now it saves right here in Premiere. So any adjustments you make in After Effects automatically sync to Premiere, and that's the beauty of working, together with them. And so you're almost creating the text in Premiere, but you're getting all the luxuries of all of After Effects' tools.
That's fantastic.
After Effects' tools? I can't speak today, Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go down to our properties. So we're going to go to animate. So all text properties come with this animate function, and I'm going to animate two different properties. So the first one I'm going to animate is opacity, and you'll notice that it now includes a range selector and opacity here with some more of these little carrots, which we'll get into in a minute. And I'm also going to add a blur. Okay, and basically what we're going to do, I'm going to try to do this from just remembering what I did. Hopefully I don't need to reference it, but I'm going to toggle this range selector down. Okay. And you'll notice that if I adjust this offset here, it takes this like line and it moves it from one side of the, one side to the other. And basically that offset is going to tell us like where the animation is going to start and then where it's going to end. And we're going to keyframe those properties. So,
oh, interesting. Okay.
So let's go -100. So now we have our line right here, and I'm going to press my stopwatch. Okay. I think there's a shortcut for it too. If anyone in the chat knows it might be like command, like K or, oh, not that, but it helps. All right. And we're just going to drag it out sort of roughly to get our timing down. And then we're going to go here to, I think it's 0 or 100. Let's try 100. All right. And then what I'm going to do,
basically making it so that it's going to sweep across, right?
Yep. So you can see that line moving. So so we don't have any properties that are animating just yet, but once we do, it's going to like kind of funnel itself in over time rather than all at once. And what you have to do is you go under the advanced property here, and you have all these other properties, which can get a little intimidating, but don't worry about all of them. Ease high and ease low are very useful to smooth out this animation. So we're sort of like prepping ourselves. So I'm going to go 50% on ease high and 50% on ease low. And then the shape, I want it to be more of like a ramp shape. I don't want it to be like a straight square. Yep. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go ramp up. Okay. So now we're still not going to see anything happening, but we've now sort of set ourselves up for what's going to end up going down.
Yep. So it's less abrupt, and all those settings that we did just made it so that it kind of flows a little more easily, right?
Yep, exactly. All right, so let's go back here. Okay. And then we have our opacity. So we're going to turn opacity on. K and J skip to different keyframes. That's what it was. All right, so that's set a keyframe here. We're going to go back and we're going to take our opacity to 0. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so this is our opacity. So we can already see that just opacity wise, if I scroll this and let it play, you're seeing something that like animates in over time rather than, right? And so that's all based on the offset, because we said, hey, start here and end here over this duration of time. So that looks pretty nice. But I want to add a blur, which I thought I added, but I guess I didn't. So we're going to add a blur. Did I add a blur?
I think you did.
Where did it go? I must have not added it. I have range selector.
It's gone forever.
Okay, well, let's try it again.
Yeah.
I thought it was in there too. So we're going to add a blur so that basically this animates and then the blur also comes into play. Okay, so we're going to come in here. So we're going to blur it. Oops. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drop down our keyframe.
And Jesse is saying, just like a sunrise. Yes, exactly. That's what this is. It is rising like a sunrise.
Yeah, there's a theme to this. I'm so glad that everyone's picking up on it. Let's just go to like 45%.
That's so much of creativity and design is like, maybe.
It's like, maybe? No, that looks horrible. Like, no. Okay, so sweet. That's like pretty nice. So it's very simple. So I do want to show you how it would look if these advanced properties are off. So like if we take square, for instance, that's how it would come in.
It's just a square flying across the screen.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good, at least in my opinion. So if you're doing this and you're just pulling your hair, you're like, how do I do this very simple thing that James showed us on Adobe Live? Make sure that the ramp up or ramp down is basically what's happening. And just play around with these tools here because they might have an effect that works better with the project you're working on.
Yep. I love the moments where you are working on something like that and you have this feeling of like, it's not wrong. And then you just have to click through things and you're like, okay, there's the right answer. Like it was not bad, but it could have been better and we found it.
Absolutely. Cool. So now what we'll do is we'll just pop back into Premiere and we can see if we play this back, and I'm going to actually just move my previous title here out of the way. We're going to move our new one, S to snap. There we go.
To be put on this earth.
Okay, so like that has now automatically updated in Premiere. So there's a couple other things I want to do. First of all, I think the size, I scaled that up because I wanted to obviously show everyone what we're doing. So you can very easily scale your text down. But before we do that, I really liked that little box, like a bounding box that I built around the title here. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to
if you were, this is a little separate, but if you were going to change the speed of that, would you change it in After Effects or would you just do it in Premiere Pro?
Here, it'd be easier to do it in After Effects. So the speed of that is essentially like any keyframing. You're just adjusting, you're pulling your keyframe out. So this will be a lot slower now. It's just much easier to do in After Effects. If you feel like you were like, oh, I'm in Premiere and I don't feel like going into After Effects, you could very easily just like take this. The problem is though, now it's changing the speed of the clip globally, not the speed of the effect. And in this specific case, the effect is what we want to kind of animate in.
And the frame rate could get really weird if you're editing the timing in Premiere Pro versus the actual animation, right?
Yep, exactly. Okay, so I like the way this is looking. I want to actually adjust some different line weights. And so we added the text in Premiere, which was really cool, but I can also then edit the text and change the font and change the color and change all those things right here in After Effects. So if I double click this, I want that earth to really pop, and I want that line weight to be, let's try regular. That might be too thick, but you know, we'll see. But it looks cool. Let's actually let's go maybe the other one. Let's go light.
And I like that the way we've set this up, and this is kind of the way that animation in both programs works, is you have your base, which is the text, and then everything we've done is just stacked on top of that. So you can still change the base, and all the other stuff is still stacked, so it will just animate whatever that base is.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's maybe change the color of the earth. Or the color of our, why can't I get the H highlighted? There we go. But I don't want it to be like super apparent. I do want it to be subtle. So I'm going to go in here in my color picker over here next to your characters. And I want something to be a little more like an orange, something that you might imagine that sunrise color feeling like. And because we have a darker clip in Premiere, I know this will actually work.
Ooh, and just real subtle. I love that.
Just subtle.
Jesse Rogers is saying, also don't forget to save it in After Effects as well. Even if it's showing in Premiere, you do still need to save in After Effects. Thank you, Jesse.
Great point, Jesse. Great point. Yep. Actually, I should have said that first. So thanks for keeping me honest. So when you first get into After Effects, go up here, File, Save As, and then make sure you're saving that as a project file. And so the reason I didn't do that is because I already have it saved. So I forgot. But yes, definitely save your projects all the time. You can never be too safe. All right, cool. So I'm liking the way that's looking. And now what I want to do is, as this is coming into Animate, I want to put that like little bounding box around it. I just thought that'd be sort of fun, something new, something a little different. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go new shape layer. Okay. And the shape layer is like Illustrator files, vector files. You can do whatever you like to it. If you're building it here in After Effects, if you built something in Illustrator, you can bring it very easily into After Effects. That might be a good like daily creative challenge tutorial to show.
Ooh, crossover.
So we're doing it. All right, so we're gonna go up to the pen tool. Before I do that, I want to press enter on my keyboard and I want to name this shape. Line around box. That's a really clever name, James.
Yeah.
Way to go. Anyway, so I'm gonna rather than the pen tool, I'm gonna take the rectangle tool. I think it's easier.
Yep.
I have no fill and I have my stroke at like 30 pixels, which I know is gonna be too thick, but just so we can see it. All right, so I'm gonna drag this around said earth. All right, and that is very large. So what I wanna do first is I wanna press Y on my keyboard and I want to take, where did I go here? Nope, I don't wanna do that. Do you ever do that? You're like, what am I trying to do?
Oh, yes.
Oh, there we go. I needed to move this thing around. Okay. So I'm going to take my stroke and I'm going to actually adjust this. Let's go like 5 pixels because I think it just looks cleaner to have this similar line weight that we're already dealing with. Okay. And now we just have this random box in the middle of our title, just floating. And we don't want it to float. We want to have it do something. And After Effects is a great place to have things do things. So
I think that's the official new slogan.
I honestly think that should be the slogan. Have things do things.
Have things do things. Adobe Creative Cloud.
Creative Cloud. So I'm holding Y on my keyboard. This is the anchor point. So this allows you to move the anchor point of where maybe like the animation would start. So I'm going to put it here so that when I do this animation, we're hopefully starting on the left side. So it's almost moving with our text. All right. So line around box, we're going to add a trim path. Okay. And a trim path is essentially going to take a starting point and an end point of this object, and you're going to just tell it like, imagine like a clock going around in a circle or something like that. And all of these, again, have a start parameter, an end parameter, and your offset. And the offset will help me decide like where I want to position the actual animation. So before I animate anything, if I just move this, you'll notice, whoa, cool. If I drag the start all the way to 100, this box disappears. If I drag the end all the way to 0, this box disappears. And so you can get really creative with playing with these parameters and keyframing them and having them animate in different ways. But all I wanted to do is basically, let's move this so it's appropriately positioned.
And can you edit where it's starting and stopping along that path?
Yes. Yes. So we will do that. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. So if I press start and I were to just do like a start and start property, so not a start and end, but like a start and start. Oops, what did I do here? Okay, so start, we want it to start at 100. We want it to end at 0 because we want to actually see it coming into the frame.
Yep.
In one way, but I'm going to drag this out because now it's happening way too fast, right? So if we wanted to, okay, there's some cool things happening there, but it's very basic right now. So now you're just adjusting, but I don't like that it's starting up here on the right-hand corner because obviously it's coming the opposite direction. So I'm going to see where this offset is, and I'm going to drag my offset to see where I want this to actually start.
Oh, cool.
And now I kind of have something starting along this side instead. And you can get really creative with it and like start the end and the start at different times so that you can kind of like follow it along the loop.
Yep.
But in this case, we're just going to do kind of a more basic square. And I'm liking the way that's looking. That's looking pretty good. But what I want to do is I want to actually come down here to trim path. How did I do this before? Oh, so under your shape, you have all these other properties. So you have a fill, you have a stroke, you have your path, like you can round the edges. So if I turn round up, now it's like a rounded box instead of a square. Let's go like 10%. Let's round it a little bit. Let's go to the stroke here. And this is where you can, After Effects just keeps going over. It's amazing.
Yes.
You're like, it's like the clown car that never has people coming out of it. So we're going to go to where it says wave and I literally just clicked this because I was like, oh, wave the earth. That's cool. And I'm going to start playing with things here. So if I play with the amount, you'll notice here, if I click off of this, that now, where am I?
Oh, that's like
now
the roughen feature in Illustrator.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So now I've created kind of like a little bit of a wave look. I actually don't like the roundness as much now I'm looking at it. All right, wave. And I want to make that animate maybe. Like I want to actually see it kind of going from like a thicker wave to a thinner wave or vice versa. So I'm going to come in here and press wavelength, and it's at 100 right now. We're going to come all the way here and let's go here. So I'm going to actually start it at 0. Wow, that's moving real fast.
Oh, and the wave moves along with it too.
Yeah, so the wave is like moving with it, but it's kind of moving in like a very sporadic way, I think. And there's a way to change that, I think.
Yep. So what it's doing for the technical people, it is keeping the same amount of, they're called rides, in between those points. And so you can see that it looks condensed because it has set to like 20 rides or whatever. And then as that line gets longer, those waves kind of span out. And so it looks like it's kind of pulling those waves out.
Okay. So I wonder, so that's probably what the phase is then. Like, because I think phase, I don't know. Let's try it. I don't remember what I did totally.
I only know this because you can do zigzag filters in Illustrator that looks like it's the same idea, that you have rides per segment. And it seems like it's pulling the rides per segment. Oh, that looks better.
A little better. Let's see what I had here, because I think I did it a little wider. See, like it's moving a lot slower here. Yep. So if I press U on my keyboard, this drops down the parameters of what I've done. So anything I did, so I adjusted the phase, the wavelength, and the amount. I think that's what I was missing, the amount. So if I want to go all the way in here, rather than doing it with the shortcut here, I can go rectangle. I can see, you'll see the points and the dots on here.
Yep. I
can actually scroll down and see what it was that I changed. So if I go down to wave, all right, so what I did here was I created the amount. Oh, so the amount started and then it turned, and so the phase changed. Okay, so where was my amount? All right, so let's start the amount here. So we're gonna press our keyframe 50, right? And let's go to, let's say 80. All right, and we're gonna change our phase as well. So we're gonna go here, make sure our keyframes are somewhat aligned, and we're going to change our phase to, let's say, like 3. Okay, so there's still something weird going on. Start and end trim path. Again, this is just, again, like playing around with these things always helps to, a lot of the time when I'm learning these new features in After Effects, I'm just playing with the parameters. It's like, that's kind of all you can do.
And sometimes you accidentally find something that's like, oh, that's a really cool effect. And then you just like save it.
Yep, exactly. All right, so like, I think it's probably 100. Wavelength 100. Oh, See, we're like 100 to 200 is our wavelength here. And I'm actually gonna get rid of our amount, I think. I don't know what's happening here, but
it's real wobbly. Yeah,
it's very wobbly. I'm not sure. Like I literally, like I'm looking at it, I still can't
yeah, you're
figure
like,
out
these are the same.
what it is that I did. Amount, wavelength, phase. Amount, wavelength, phase. Sorry, After Effects gurus in this group. I consider myself a intermediate. I'm in no way an advanced After Effects.
And I'm like medium beginner. I'm like pretty beginner, but like I could cut a thing together.
Yeah. 50 to 100. So we got our amount. Let's go back with our keyframes. 50% to 100.
Come on.
This better work.
We got it.
I think we did. What the heck? It's like starting to get there, but I do not know what's happening.
Yeah, that's weird. It's just it's wobbly.
Okay, we're gonna just minimize this for a second. Let's say I want to take this opacity down as well because I don't really want it to be super apparent. I'm gonna press T on my keyboard. It's at 100, so I'm gonna bring this to like 45, and just so we can kind of hide some of that a little bit. I definitely know that was something I had done, and I think right now it's coming in a little bit late, so I'm gonna press U on my keyboard, and again, I'm gonna take these keyframe parameters. I'm gonna highlight.
Pull them over.
Yep, and just pull them over, and that way we're kind of coming in at the same time that this does, which is nice. All right. Okay, that's okay for now.
Yeah.
It's doing its thing, and you can you can continue to finesse this. You can continue to add to it. And then what I wanted to do is add the little bit above. So we're going to go the earth, and we're going to do the beauty. So I'm in After Effects already. We're going to add a text, the beauty, because it is. All right. And we're going to go to move tool. We're going to position this where we'd like it. All right. And
the beauty of the earth.
The beauty of the earth, narrated by Andrew Hograttle and
that's it.
Jimmy Bonanno. I don't go by Jimmy, but every once in a while.
It's a stage name.
It's a stage name.
Yeah.
This is purely for show.
Yeah, for the Academy. Yeah.
For the Academy. Oh, I used to have a straight up, like in high school. I went to film school, but in high school I took my first film class my junior year, and it really like just kind of opened a door in my mind and life and a career that I've continued to have. And I would literally practice Oscar speeches in the shower.
Yes.
On the regular, until the Oscars became something that's a little more painful to watch, and now I don't do that anymore. All right, so we have this text that's coming in. So we actually want to do the same kind of animation so they all come in together.
Can we just copy and paste it, or do we have to do it custom?
You should be able to copy and paste it, so I'm going to try that. All right, so we have all of our offset properties here. It may look a little weird, but we're going to try it. So we're going to copy and paste all of our properties, Command C, and we're just going to come in here and go Command V.
Yes. Work smarter, not harder.
Okay, so that didn't.
Oh, it's doing the square. It's doing the square. That's the problem that's happening.
There you go. Yep, exactly. Yes. Good point. All right, so we have to adjust these because the properties are copying the keyframes, but they're not adjusting any of these. So we go to our shape, we change this to ramp up, we change our ease high to 50, we change our ease low to 50, and now, boom.
We did it.
The beauty of the earth.
Yes. And we wouldn't have known what was wrong if we hadn't had like tried new stuff. And so that's why when you get into a program like this, just click around on things to see what it does. Because then if something goes wrong, you're like, oh, it's that thing that I didn't know what to do with, but now I understand how it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really, and like and it's set up in a way like you can just try things. And again, like try them if you have an idea, like if you have something in your mind, you can most likely make it work. It may just take you a little bit of time and watching streams like this and watching tutorials, but eventually you figure it out. So even me, I'm like in here, I'm like, what did I do wrong? So now we go back into Premiere, and now we have our title.
How I was blessed to be put on this earth.
Oh, God, I hate that box now. What the heck?
the good fortune.
We were doing so well.
We were doing so well. Why did that one look so much better? Well, we're gonna just use this one for now. And so this is an example, Andrew, like if I didn't want to size everything in After Effects, I could very easily just come in here into my properties. I can scale this down. I can center it with my, so if we go into, again, our graphics and I click this, the thing you will notice now is because we've replaced this with an After Effects composition, I don't have the same like edit properties along the right side that I do as a native text property in Premiere, which is kind of annoying. So you'd have to line this up manually if you were like, okay, I'm trying to find the center point. So what I would just do is, because I know this is 1920 by 1080 composition here, I'm gonna highlight everything, press U to close this, and I'm gonna pre-compose all of these together. So I'm gonna go pre-comp, and I'm gonna call this Earth title, let's just say final, and you can move all the attributes into the new composition. And so now we have just one pre-comp of this. And so I can go to the align tool, I can align this to the center, which it already is. And then I can actually press my scale property and I can just bring this whole thing down to like, let's say 50% and align that. And so if I save that and I go back into Premiere, now I have like a really cool little title that I can just size either way I want. So let's bring it a little bit because now it's a little too big. I mean, too small. All right, so onward and upward. Anyone in the chat, please continue to send your questions. Let us know where you're celebrating Earth Day, because we're getting jazzed on the Earth.
And we have some new people, some new faces in here. Mick Garrison, hi, hello. Dia, nice to see you. And Lauda just popped in as well. Nice to see you. Lauda. And they are saying that we're doing great work, and everything looks good. So yes, it looks awesome. Cool. I agree. Cool.
Thanks, man. All right, so we're hitting on a lot of different things today, and I want to get to sound design and color correction.
Fun.
So there's a lot of sound elements that are already in this cut, which I had mentioned earlier, like diegetic versus non-diegetic sound. Diegetic being what I've recorded in camera, non-diegetic anything that's sound design, sound effects that you pull in afterwards. So I'm going to pull up my graphics window, and I'm going to go to audio. We have a panel for everything. So, oh man, what a goofy thing we're doing.
Everything you want, it's all here.
All right, so we go to projects. Okay, whenever they want us to listen to me. Projects, all right. And audio. And we have our sound effects. Okay, so I've actually downloaded some sound effects already that I'm going to use, and we're going to do this live. I'm a bad boy, and I never saved it to my drive. I'm going to pull this on this screen. So I downloaded all of the downloads. Okay, normally this drives me crazy, but I was running low on time. So I'm going to copy and paste all these sound effects. I'm going to put them into this drive, into the same working folder, because if you don't, your media will be unlinked and you will want to jump out the window. So sound effects, copy. Now they're all saved on one drive. So when I leave and go travel, I can bring this one hard drive with me, and I have all of the files I need with me for this project. Okay, and what I'm going to then do is I'm going to drag all these files, and I'm just going to pull them into my sound effects window that I've already organized. Okay, now they're all in there properly. Now I can delete them from downloads and never see them again. All right, so let's go through the clip real quick, the video, and see where maybe sound design would help to beef this project up a little bit. So I'm going to mute the music, so all we're hearing is my voice and the sounds. Oops. Don't want to mute that.
That was very satisfying, the moment that just happened there.
Yeah, it was very nice. So these are some birds. So there's no real sound on top of this clip of Anna, and I've already built out the sound design in the intro, and I think it really lends itself to having something else being heard. And in this case, I don't know if I actually grabbed anything that's like an ambient morning desert or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to Epidemic Sound, And this is where I source a lot of my sound effects from. So just for sake of time, I'm just gonna say desert, ambience, maybe something will come up. And I'm gonna just play a few of these. Let's see, this is sound design or this is, yeah. Make sure it's sound effects and not music, because that was all music tracks. So let's just go desert first. Desert night, desert wind drone. That's kind of cool. It's a little drone window. Definitely too like, let's see.
Oh, Salton Sea.
Yeah, Salton Sea. You
That's
know
right by
is.
me.
Yeah. What a crazy story that place has.
Oh, it is just I've been so many, we used to do photo shoots out there and video shoots, and it is just the weirdest place to visit.
Yeah, I went once and it was just like nuts. So I don't know if I like any of those desert ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that folder that I mentioned earlier, which is under my video assets and additional clips. And sometimes I like to use sounds that might not necessarily be the sounds of that location, because I think it kind of gives it something a little different.
Yep.
And they might work just as well. So where am I at here? All right. So I think I really like some sounds of like the beach.
Yeah.
So that's like very bassy wind, which might be a little too distracting, but let's see if I have anything else that could work. I don't even think I had the audio on that time. So much for that, James. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it feels like crackly a little bit.
Yeah, there's like some leaves crackling, which you wouldn't obviously see in the desert, but no one's gonna know. So I'm gonna actually take just the sound of that clip and I'm gonna drag the audio, just the audio, in here. Okay, and now we have this clip that if we play it, it's like ambient sound. So we actually have some ambience, which helps to layer it in, but I want it to be subtle. Again, like subtle's the key. So I'm gonna drag the volume down, let's say like 16. And I don't like to just have the sound right on the clip. I like to drag it out and I do what's called an L cut, which you would normally do with visuals, but the L cut allows you to start to transition your clips before the next clip appears so that the audience anticipates what's coming. So you press P on your keyboard, because I have now these audio properties up, and I'm gonna just slowly kind of fade this in and fade it out. And you'll notice, oh, okay, James, why didn't you fade it out on the clip? I've kind of transitioned it into the next one. And that,
interesting. That,
my friends, is very good, clean sound design, because you're not cutting something abruptly. So if I played this and I soloed, if I muted the track, the music track, which we have, and I play this now, right? So like you don't actually hear the outro of that clip, you just hear it fade kind of into the next one.
Yep.
Which is nice. And now what I want to do is I want to add a couple more like seagull sounds, because I didn't record enough of those, and I like the sound, but it is a little bit, it was windy and I didn't have like a filter on the camera, and I know I have some nice sounds of that. So I'm going to go into,
and when you're shooting seagulls, you can never have enough. That's if you see one seagull on screen, there's at least another 20 somewhere off screen.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
just
they're usually
screaming.
They're just waiting for their close up. They're like, yo,
yeah.
when do I get a chance?
Yep.
All right, so I have some seagulls here, so let's listen to what we have. Whoops, that's very not what I want. Let's go. So I like that a lot. It sounds like I'm back down the Jersey Shore, which is where I shot this, and there's no bassy, muffled like distraction. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag this into our clip in and out point. I just sort of rough it out, and that's obviously too long. So I'm gonna press Command Z, the golden tool of everybody's computer. All right, we're gonna drag this in. And this is where, again, like having organized timelines, having just things that are as organized as you can really come in handy, because you can already see like just doing basic like sound design, voiceover, music, you're already looking at like 4 tracks on both the top and the bottom. So they gets a little unruly if you don't know how to keep it organized.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna drag this out. We're gonna pull this down, and
let's another L cut here.
Another L cut. Let's solo this. All right, so it sounds cool, but now we're missing the sounds of the ocean, right? Like, because we're seeing the ocean, see and say. So we're gonna go in here and let's see if I grabbed any of that. Again, I downloaded some of these kind of last minute. That's pretty cool too. I like the depth of that. So let's just grab some.
Yeah, and it feels like there's a lot more going on there than just like a sound effect. That's like, oh, no, this is like an atmosphere.
Yep, exactly. So I'm gonna solo both those. So now we're like building the scene in an audio sense to, you know, complement the visuals. Okay. And maybe for this case, I pop back over to Epidemic real quick and we see
ocean sound.
Yeah, let's search for like, I could have sworn I got one, but let's just search ocean because that's a big one. Ambient ocean. Very loud. And let's just do like, I thought I grabbed one because I think it was, ocean. Oh, that's a song. Lakeshore, water, walking down the shore. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna layer these on top of each other and just kind of like build it out a little bit. And then you're just adjusting the volume. You're seeing what actually sounds normal, what sounds out of place. And this is what I'll do for every clip that I feel like I didn't get sound design for, sound effects, or that I want to redo. So
and just for reference, we have about 10 minutes left.
Cool.
I believe if it tells me wrong, I'm really bad with time, but I believe that we have 10 minutes left.
I think you're right. I'm going to do this one sequence and then I'm going to pop over to color and then we should be good to go. Except, you know how it goes. Sometimes it doesn't want to work.
Layering, right?
All right, so we're going to pull this down.
As you layer these, I do want to talk about something real quick that's coming up right after this stream, and that's the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. They happen every single day, and we are doing a replay of the best of challenges. So if you want to check out the best, we're continuing that right after this stream, and then we've got some packaging design coming up later today. So always stay tuned here on Adobe Live.
All right, so, and yes, Andrew, ditto to the Daily Creative Challenge. It's an amazing resource. I was just saying at the beginning of the stream how much you've taught me in Illustrator just by watching. So I was quite the Illustrator noob for a while. And
I'm learning so much watching you. The L cuts is so genius to like help anticipate the sound.
It does. It's nice. I mean, it doesn't always have to be used, but I like it. It's just a cleaner way to just kind of cut audio together. So now we have these 3 tracks that I've brought together.
Yeah. Oh, that L cut got weird. Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened.
Wow, that layered so well.
Yeah, so like even without the music, you can hear how well that sounds. And if we were to take our clip that we actually had recorded and solo that instead, let's see, solo this. Right, so that was our initial clip, and I don't like the way the wind sounds, so we're just gonna turn that down, or we can disable it like we spoke about earlier. And then if we turn all these back on, and now we hear how it comes together with the music. Come on, Premiere. Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
So now now we're starting to build the scene. And like, this is personally one of my favorite parts of the whole project, because I get to a certain point in a cut where I'm like, okay, I'm really happy with how this is looking and feeling and the story. And so the sound design comes in and just adds those finishing touches, the chef's kiss of a project. And and I can honestly take more time sometimes doing sound design and color than I do on the whole project.
Yep. And sometimes good sound design can fix bad clips. Like if you get some great sound in there, it can help to really up the ante on some clips that may not be making the cut.
Absolutely. All right, so last thing, I know we only have a couple minutes left here. I just want to show real quickly a tool that I use in color correcting. So again, based on timing, like we would have more time to really go through and refine a lot of the stuff, but I left some of the color correction open so that we could at least do some of it on the stream. Let me try to find a good clip to compare. Okay, so let's take these two clips. All right, so they're pretty similar in style. I haven't color graded either of these. I'm gonna mute this track. And we're now in our color tab. And if I click on this clip here, and I wanna start color grading this, we would again pull up our Lumetri scopes. We'll start making our adjustments. So again, like I was doing before, I'll come in here, maybe I'll bring the highlights up. I like that it's a little bit warmer, bring the exposure up a little bit. I want to make sure I'm not clipping too many things. Like the clip is already looking pretty good. I'd go down to my curves layer and I'd add my points here. These are your RGB curves, and I like to add these little handles here so that I can then adjust just the midtones. These are the shadows, and then this is your highlights. So you'll see that in essence, you're adding contrast to those places as well. So I'm adding a little bit of that. I'm just darkening this a little. So before and after, just just a touch. And then I want to maybe change the hue of some of these greens, let's say. So we'll come in here, and we did this before, but this is kind of going back to that same process. So let's come in here and see if that does anything a little bit.
Give us that real fall vibe.
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, that's it.
That's totally not. There we go. That's definitely not it. But you can see it starting to like, even just a little, like that's definitely looking more warm, like fall and warm.
Yep.
All right. So let's say I wanted to match this clip to the next one to color grade so that they're in like comparison views. So right here along your program window, you have what's called comparison view. So if I click this, the reference image is automatically going to start at the front of my timeline. So I want to actually pull this to where that reference image is so that I can go basically to the clip that I need to compare it to. So I'm going to go.
And each time you click that, it's going from clip to clip, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yep. So it's going clip to clip. So, all right. So let's say this is the clip that I want to match the color to this, because again, you want everything to feel consistent and look like it's all one cohesive project.
Yep.
So I'm going to come in here now, and you can then look at all these different views, which are very helpful. You can have them side by side. I'm just going to keep it up like this, and I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on this one, and I'm going to start playing around. And again, like this color grading is very fast. This is more for just showing the idea. I'm going to bring the whites up a little bit. I know I want it to be a little bit warmer.
Yep.
To sort of match here. I'm going to come back in, bring the blacks up a little bit. Oh boy, it's getting to the end here.
Get those curves.
Let's go back to our curves. Just a nice little simple S curve, bringing that really nice contrast and pop, and then making sure those highlights are really nicely exposed. Here's our midtones a little bit. Again, you can come down here and adjust your gray and white. Let's take our green and let's maybe adjust that hue. Let's bring the saturation up a little bit to match that. And let's bring the hue, Huey Newton. Oh, geez.
Oh.
Okay, so now we're bringing it up to match a little more of like that fall vibe. And so if you can kind of go through the entire timeline, you can start comparing clips to clips. Now, obviously, this one is not going to really match this one because they're shot in a different location and all these things. But when you start to shoot projects that are all cohesive on one camera or different cameras, it's important to use these views to really like get things dialed in.
Yep. And especially even with like color theory stuff, that if you are doing two different things, like you have the glaciers and you have the forest, hitting something that's like, cool, what's the contrast here between the oranges and the blues? How can we make it so that they have really good visual contrast,
right?
And not just like matchy on everything.
Exactly. So like even this, maybe like the last one. So we'll just go into the tone curve just on this one. And like this would be cool to really crush those blacks, like enough where they're not going to lose detail, but already that just like from that to that helps to bring that out. We're going to bring the highlights up and the midtones up a little bit. And then I'm going to take my temperature and I'm going to bring this up just a hair, maybe bring the whites, the highlights, and then maybe bring the saturation down just like a little bit. And so now, at first kind of pass, you can start to go through here and just start matching each clip to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So, so that's it. That's really like color correction in a nutshell, going through it pretty darn quickly.
Yep. I haven't seen the side-by-side view, and that seems super helpful across there.
It really is.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. This is a super fun stream. If you want to learn more about Premiere Pro, you can check out the daily or the creative challenges, which, James, you are going to be doing them in a little while. You'll be back. There are some that you just did.
Yes.
Where can people find you, find out more about what you're up to, celebrate Earth Day with you? Where can that happen?
Yeah, head over to my Instagram, just James Bonanno _ or Leave the Map is really where you'll be able to find us. Website, Instagram, YouTube, we're all over the place. And we'll be celebrating Earth Day this weekend and taking advantage of the beautiful spring weather and enjoying our beautiful planet. So thank you for helping to make this stream a thing today. And Andrew, thanks for being an awesome host.
Absolutely. Yeah. So stick around, everybody. Illustrator Creative Challenge is coming up next, and some packaging design. And while we wait for it to change over on the Behance chat, let us know what you're going to do to celebrate Earth Day this weekend. And we will see you later for some more content here on Adobe Live. Bye.
Awesome.